Well, it's Monday night. Welcome, everybody. Hello from Chad and Megan. We're so excited that you guys are joining us tonight. We are coming to you live from our favorite place in our house, which is this fun, comfy chair. And we just wanted to start tonight and we're going to dive right in because we know your time is precious and we're not going to take a whole lot of it tonight. But we just wanted to introduce ourselves first and foremost because we know that we have some old friends joining us and then we have some soon-to-be new friends that are going to be joining us tonight. So I'll let Baby Chad do that.
Well, we're excited. God had put on our heart just pushing us to do more in what we're passionate about and what we love, and that's marriage. Mm-hmm. And God's blessed us with an incredible marriage. It's not always easy, but we do have a great marriage, and we just want it to be real and raw. We're not even sure what it looks like from week to week, but we just want to share what has worked well for us, and hopefully it helps you.
Well, my name's Megan Lacefield, and this is my husband, Chad. We've been married almost 24 years. We met and started dating in high school, got married in high school, but that's another story for later. We have two incredible kids, 23 and 20, and we are officially empty nesters and soon-to-be grandparents, and couldn't be more thrilled about that. But being in this season of our lives, we know that there's so much that God still wants to do and use, and we have so much to give. And so that's why we're here with you guys, because we know a lot of our friends live online. And as hard as it is to get together face to face, we know that this is an opportunity for us to somewhat be face to face with you guys.
And if any of you know me very well, as my wife put a poll out there of what time we should do this live video, 8:30. Some of you had said 9 and 10. It would have then been called Bedtime with Chad. So we decided to go with 8:30 and talk about marriage.
So we're going to do this for as long as the season God calls us to. We're going to show up at 8:30 on Monday nights, and we hope that you guys will too. So that's just a little bit about us. We're going to ask you to introduce yourself as well. So in the comments of our live, just tell us who you are, where you're watching from, and how many years you've been married. But even if you're not married, if you're dating or engaged, we would love to know that too, because our heart is for healthy marriages, but we know that it all has to start somewhere. So we want to know who you are, where you're coming from, and just so that we can stay connected with you as well. But as we began to pray and ask the Lord what this first one was supposed to look like, He just brought me to 3 things that I feel like are major contributors to why we have a healthy marriage. And when I say healthy marriage, I just want to say it's not a perfect marriage. We work hard and we fight for the marriage that we have. We enjoy life together. Pretty much he makes me laugh all the time, or he's laughing at me. That's pretty much how it goes.
With her.
But we do laugh a whole lot. And we have fun, and we're enjoying every different season that we've been in marriage, and we know that there's things that we've learned in every single part of this journey that we've been on. So that's why we're here. But as we began to ask the Lord, what does tonight need to look like? It was 3 things that were put on my heart, and we're just going to kind of chat through each one of those. And those are intentional living, which is something that is incredibly important to us that Chad's going to get to talk to you guys about. It's about a consistent pursuit. Being consistent in our pursuit of God and each other, and then also connecting conversations. If we're not talking to each other, then you can guarantee that we're not able to connect the way that we were intended to connect. So we're just going to talk about each one of those for a minute.
Well, intentional living for me is probably the easiest inside our marriage because I love the word intentional. 10 years ago, God spoke the word intentional to me, and as I just studied that word, it was all about doing the more. And, you know, from business to marriage to life to raising your kids, being intentional is so important, because if you're not being intentional, then you're waking up every day just accepting the day where it's at. And I don't believe that that's healthy, and I don't believe that that's what God's called us to. So inside of marriage, being intentional is I desire to move the needle, you know, every day. Are there some bad days that I'm not intentional and the needle's going backwards? It's on E, absolutely. But I desire to move the needle inside our marriage. You know, even if you're watching, if you're taking the time to watch us now, to me, you're desiring to be intentional. And I love that about you guys. And being intentional, it takes something that's not familiar. It takes something that's outside our comfort zone. It takes time. And in this society that we live in, being intentional is so hard sometimes, but it's worth it. You know, and one of my favorite sayings is you can't expect the more if you're not doing something about it, which is intentional. And, you know, for you to grow inside your marriage, if there's one takeaway from me to tell you about growing inside your marriage, is that was to be intentional with your spouse. Life comes at us with kids and work, and then they throw in football, baseball, all the things that come that take our time. But the most important thing to do to grow this, and so that we're continually growing, is to be intentional. And the second thing I would say is be intentional on dating your wife.
Dating is one of my favorite things. I love to come up with creative, fun date nights, but even more than that, I love it when he plans a date, but it's something that's started early on in our marriage. We did start having kids super young, and we were blessed with parents, their grandparents, who were able to watch them, and we started dating early on, and it became a regular practice, going to marriage conferences, going to weekend getaways, doing all these things. And it wasn't because we had a ton of finances, because we didn't have the means to do a lot, but we did make it a priority, and we took those opportunities to pursue each other, because the biggest thing that we wanted more than anything was to not be strangers by the time our kids left our house, because our kids were busy. They were our lives, but we didn't let them run our lives. We made each other. We kept those things a priority. So I think that's an incredibly important part about being intentional. Chad has always intentionally pursued time with me. One of my love languages is quality time, and he knows that, and he makes that a priority to spend one-on-one time with me. I remember one time I was actually planning to preach on a Sunday morning for I think it was my second time to get to do that, and I was incredibly stressed out, and he planned a day for us the day before, but I didn't get to because I wasn't prepared for the next day. So he ended up spending the day with one of our kids, and they had gone to a little town not far from here. They'd gone to Granbury, and he picked up all kinds of little goodies, and he took me on a date that night because I had spent the whole day preparing. He took me on a date that night, and it had little bitty goodies. I don't even know what else to call them. Little bitty gifts that he gave me throughout the night that just were little things that reminded him of me. And so it was, I love gifts, but not in the give me all the things. Give me the things that make you think of me. And he took the time to make that date incredibly special. And so it goes down in the books as one of my all-time favorites. But I mean, we have just as much fun going for a run on a Saturday at the trails, and it feels like a date. Every day feels like a date now, but we do try to be intentional about that time that we get one-on-one.
You know, and being intentional, guys, I'm talking to you now. It's very important for you to take the role in this. In coming weeks, we'll talk about how important the role is inside of marriage. But to be intentional, you may be sitting there today going, well, she's not intentional, so I'm not being intentional. Well, she was intentional because she probably made you sit down and watch Facebook Live. Or she may send it to you on your Facebook. That's her being intentional, saying, hey, you need to listen to this. Not that we have it together, but hey, I like some of the stuff they're saying. So, guys, take the lead on being intentional inside your marriage and see what happens.
And women, I just want to say, this is going to be an opportunity for your men to hear from another man. And we don't see that as much. We see a lot of women talking to wives, but it's so important for men to be able to hear other men cheering them on. And that's what Chad's going to be able to do. So even if they're not willing to sit down, I had one of my friends say it was going to be a popcorn date on the couch, and they were going to set aside time, put the kids to bed, and make it a priority. And I love that. Like, if we can be your Monday night little date minute, I'm okay with that. You don't have to go anywhere to be able to spend that time connecting and being intentional.
Yeah, and some of the most special dates, I would say, is when I've taken the intentional time to plan them. No matter where your finances are, you're like, yeah, we're broke. We don't have money to date. We don't have money for sitters. Go to a park, let your kids play, get on the park bench and sit. So the reality is that you took the time to plan something outside your normal life, and your wife will think you're a stud.
You are a stud, baby. Well, so we want to be about intentional living. We also want to be about a consistent pursuit. We know that marriage can only be so good outside of being in the center of God's will. We were designed and created to know God, to love God, and to live our lives sharing that with other people, starting inside of our homes. We think loving people is loving people outside of our homes, but the way that I love Chad is highly impacted by the way that I am knowing and being known and loving and being loved by God in my relationship and my walk with him. And the same is true about Chad. Chad can only love me in all my imperfections because he knows a good God who is doing a good work in me too. And so if we are both consistently on that pursuit to know more about who we are and who God created us to be, to know his nature and his character and the way that he loves us so fiercely. I mean, he loves me in spite of me, and he gives Chad the ability to love me in spite of me, because we're human and we rub each other wrong, and we leave all of our drawers open, and we leave stuff piles everywhere. And because of the pursuit of God and each other, those aren't defining factors in our lives. Those aren't deal breakers. I think a long time ago we decided there really were no deal breakers, that divorce isn't an option for us. That D card came off the table a long time ago. And so for those of you who might throw that word around, we would just challenge you, and we will continue to challenge you to not make that an option, because the truth is God's doing a perfecting work in each and every one of us. And if we're pursuing God and we're pursuing each other, and by pursuing each other, that means I'm not expecting him to do all the things and just sitting here not doing my part, and vice versa. I'm not doing all the things and him just expecting me to do it. We work together. We're a team, and we get to do this together.
You know, in the constant pursuit is, first, my wife was intentional and asked me to pray about doing this Facebook Live. So that's how she's intentional inside of our marriage, is pushing the more out of me, because this is very uncomfortable for me. But she's like, I really feel like we're supposed to be doing this. So as we prayed about it, we felt like, hey, let's do this thing. She's continually pursuing the more that God has inside of me. And that's what I love about Megan is I would not be where I am today if she wasn't pursuing me in a way that brought the more out inside of me and who I am to be. But in that, she gets the benefit of me being who God created me to be. So it benefits us both.
Yeah.
But as she pursues me, and when she sent me what she felt like we were supposed to talk about the first week on the consistent pursuit, what I love about that is I automatically thought about dating my wife. That it's something that, when life happens and you have kids and you have all this stuff that gets thrown at you, new jobs, or you're trying to advance the career ladder, or whatever that may be, it all takes our time. And so what gets left behind is pursuing our wife, which is dating our wife. And I was thinking about today as I was driving, and I thought, when you first started chasing your wife to get the first date, to get the first talk, back when us, it was notes and letters and text on pagers. But now, however you're pursuing, or however you pursued your wife, is a little bit different. But the reality is your wife still wants to be pursued in that way. She wants you to know that you're thinking about her. Sometimes my wife will blow me up with texts, and I'm like, oh my goodness, babe. In one text, ask me all the questions you want. In all reality is she just wants to know that I'm thinking about her, and that's how she lets me know that she's thinking about me. So continue to pursue your wife and to date your wife and make it a priority. And like I always bring up finances, because a lot of people that we counsel with and talk with are like, Chad, we don't have the means to date. Well, dating means you put a movie on for your kids and you go on the back porch, whatever that looks like for you. And it can look different every time, so pursue your wife.
Well, and the last thing is connecting conversations. And I used to dismiss this one because I have a huge need for conversation. Like, I want to know Chad's heart. And I'm
terrible at this, by the way.
I know that men and women are created differently. Women have a lot of words, but Chad also has a whole lot of words. He's been in sales almost our entire marriage. So I watch him talk to and interact with people. And so by the time he gets home, sometimes he's run out of words, and I just desperately crave those. And so when I think about connecting conversations, I sometimes would just shut it down myself and be like, well, that's just because my love language is words of affirmation, and I'm a woman, and I like connect, being intentional, and I would dismiss the validity of and the value in connecting conversations. And so as I've gone through this last year and a half, as I've stepped out of full-time ministry and I've stepped into some new things that God is doing and the new things God's doing in our marriage, I realize how important it is to have the conversations you don't realize you're not having. Now, hear me. We talk about schedules, we talk about what's for dinner, we talk about the kids and who's talked to which kid and all the things, and that I call that business. Like, we can talk through all of those things but never really connect hearts. And so, there are times when we're together that you can look at them and you can just tell that something's off or something's not right. You can ask the same question 3 times and not get the right answer until the 3rd time you ask the question. And that's okay. I don't get mad if I ask him the same question multiple times, and he doesn't get mad at me for asking the same question. Sometimes it just takes that long to be able to do that. But connecting conversations lead the way for emotional and sexual intimacy, all of the intimacies, being able to be vulnerable and transparent and share our hopes and our dreams and our fears and our failures. All of it. It's all things that we need to talk about, but we're so often just scared to talk about. So tell them how we have connected conversations.
She's not talking about sex. Guys, you're like, I connect with my wife, we had sex. No, that's not what she's talking about. She's talking about the heart stuff. So for us, we love going to the park. We live in Weatherford, Texas, and there's tons of great trails. And my wife, being the connecting conversation person that she is we're walking on the trail, she'll say, we get to ask a question to each other, and we have to answer it. There's no, next question. It's that we have to, but I made a rule up that you can't ask the same question. So if you want to know something, you can ask that question and then they can't ask it back. But it's fun. We have a lot of fun with it. And in the peace in the midst of walking down a trail that's wooded and life is kind of stopped around you except that you and your spouse, there's something special and something peaceful about just getting real and vulnerable. And, for us, it's where we've worked through things, not even knowing that we were going to work through something, something that maybe that we've swept under the rug, something that we had bypassed that week because we're flying with our schedules. But we just take that time and we're intentional with connecting with each other with those questions. And then we're able to walk through it, literally walk through it. Sometimes we put in 2 or 3 extra miles, just the simple fact that it's doing inside our marriage what we want it to do. And then when we get home, it's usually good for us too.
Hey, you don't tell them all of our secrets.
No, that's all right.
But the truth is that we desire connection. Men and women alike desire connection. And there's connecting that we do inside the bedroom, and there's connecting we do outside the bedroom. And what happens outside the bedroom is more important, leading the way and paving the path for what happens inside the bedroom. And so those are just 3 of the things, just 3 of the practices that we know are a big part of our marriage. And as we continue to pray and move forward with you guys, we're going to continue to unpack some of these things. So we're asking you guys, we love to do some good old-fashioned Q&A. So if you have specific questions for us that you want us to address in the coming weeks, go ahead and put them in the comments here. Go ahead and share it with friends or family or your spouse. And if, like I said, if any questions that come up, I really don't know that there's going to be anything that's off limits because we're here to serve you. I mean, really, ultimately, our heart is just when God got us back to a place where we had embraced the fact that we are called to and passionate about ministering to marriages. The promise that he gave me is that we will get to be a part of seeing mountains moved in marriages. And so we're here. We want to pray, we want to partner with, and we want to encourage and equip you. So that's our heart.
Guys, I just want to challenge you in your quiet time before you go to bed, pray over your wife, whatever that looks like. But just pray the more inside your marriage. Just begin to pray the more. And as the more comes, you'll become more intentional. It just happens. So pray the more for your marriage. Block your schedule. If you are in the midst of life when it's just crazy and you don't see the right time to date your wife, put it on your schedule. Make it an appointment. Invite your wife to be a part. Send her an invite, and so that at 8:30 on Wednesdays, y'all are going to get alone for 30 minutes, whatever that looks like. but block your calendars. And don't forget, make dates special.
Absolutely. So we're going to probably do one of these Monday nights just all about dating, just give you some of the ideas that we've done in the past, some of the things that we've seen done, some of the things our friends do, because we're, like I said, because I'm all about connecting conversations, I'm always asking questions to couples young and old. So we believe it is so important that we want to equip you with all the fun things and ideas and those kind of things. And there are some great resources out there for it as well.
As we prepare in the weeks to come, we're just praying that that we can be encouraging to you guys as couples, whether you're dating and thinking about getting married, or you're married, or you're in a marriage that the D word's on the table. We just want to challenge you to push in, take a deep breath, and desire God inside your marriage. And everything that we talk about, we're not leaving and God. God is the biggest part of our marriage. I do want to state that God is the biggest thing between me and her that really truly connects our hearts together. When we're really pointing ourselves alone time to Him, then when we come together, we're connected in such a bigger way.
Yep, I think so. So we love you guys. We are thankful for this time that we get to spend together, and we are excited about what God is going to do in your lives and in ours, and can't wait. So thank you guys. We are loving you guys through Facebook Live. Thanks so much.
Love you guys.
Bye.